Today I'm talking with Yukari Peerless, someone I've had the opportunity to meet only twice in person, who through social media always makes me curious about her career and the many hats that she wears. Whenever I encounter somebody with such a dynamic set of roles that seem to be really fulfilling, at least so far as social media shows me, I'm just get really excited to hear from them. I wanted to welcome and say konnichiwa to Winding Paths. Thanks for coming on our little series, Yukari.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I reached out because I've only known one hat that you were wearing, and that was as the co-host of Getting Engaged, which is your YouTube series about social media engagement. And I realized you're way more dynamic than that. I wanted to ask, when you have such a dynamic profile, how do you go about giving your own elevator pitch?
I used to feel really insecure about that. Like I felt like you have to have the elevator pitch and you have to have this compact, easy, presentable thing. But I kind of stopped worrying about it. And I can usually guess, depending on your context, like depending on where you are, you're in, like I'm hanging out at this business networking thing at University of Victoria. Then when they ask me, they want to know that I work with international students, and I do homestay placement and translation. But when if I'm in social media camp, I tell them, oh, like I do engagement videos on YouTube, and do podcasting and blogging and social media management, things like that. So I find it's easy to kind of customize your answer.
I'm going to guess that, like other Canadians, can only read like half of your posts because half of them are in Japanese. And I know sometimes you do like half in Japanese and half translated into English, but it made me kind of think, you operate in both languages, you're operating in both worlds. So, what are both cultures teaching you about, I don't know, workplaces, career, you, yourself?
There is a lot that I learned, but without really knowing. Obviously, it's very different. Like the way we do business in Japan and the way we do business here is very different. Japan is more organized and the lead time is long time. So they'll, if somebody's looking for somebody to do some project, they'll, find me online and they'll contact me and it's like start talking and like, when do you want to do this project? It's like 6 months, like 8 months away. But I find in Canada, it's much shorter and people are like, oh, can you do this? We're thinking of doing this. Can you do this? Or, can you do this translation that has to be done like end of this week? I learned to adjust depending on who I'm working with, like my mindset. So yeah, that's something I learned for sure.
So I love that you bring up mindset. Sounds like you're really good at adjusting based on all of your audiences. You're adjusting what you tell the people who are at UVic. You're adjusting how you work with people from Japan versus from Canada. I'm really curious about, when you think about like your whole career and the span that you've had, what have you really learned? What's the kind of the proudest moments, the proudest thing that you've learned in your own career?
Proudest thing I think is to embrace your experience. And again, this came relatively recent to me because I used to feel insecure about it. Like I don't have a solid career. I've been doing my business for, yeah, I think it's 15 years this year. But, I felt insecure about it for not having the elevator pitch. But I kind of looked back all the projects I've done. I was like, oh my God, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Like so many things I've done. I did the translation for the Olympians. I worked with the negotiation with some like aircraft company. I was a brand ambassador for the airline. I've been doing a lot of like interpretation for family law. Like I'm not a court interpreter, so I cannot go into the court, but my client will need somebody to interpret all their meetings. I will go in and help them, and I learn about the law stuff. It's fascinating. And I was like, oh my God, I've done so much. There's nobody who's had a career like me. I think we should be proud of what we've done.
I 100% agree with you. You ought to be proud of all of these things that you've accomplished. They're no small feats. And I love that you just opened up like that and shared that, it's hard when you don't have a super easy to describe
Yeah.
career where you're just doing that one thing.
Mhm.
You're being real about it. And I think that's that is one of the reasons why we wanted to create this series in the first place, was to
Mhm.
hear stories like yours and to feel that, yeah, you wear a lot of different hats. Yeah, you've done a lot of really interesting things. Like,
Mhm.
I had no idea that you translated for Olympians. You definitely deserve to celebrate them. Thank you for sharing with me and with everybody else who's going to listen to your story.
I think as women, we should be helping each other, and we should be able to tell that, right? Like we tend to just like, oh, this is not a big deal. Like this is just the thing I do. But I think we should say like, hey, I did this, and sometimes I think we deserve to say, I did this awesome thing.
We do deserve to say this awesome thing, and I'm very glad that you came on our series to share your really awesome, awesome thing. Thank you, Yukari, for being here with us.